Hey, I'm Amber, and this is my first vlog. It is about the first quarter of the Shadow Casket by Chris Wooding. It is book 2 in the Darkwater Legacy. I read the Ember Blade years ago when it first came out, liked it, reread it, loved it. And I think it was because the first time around, I didn't always see that all of this backstory that I was getting as the story was progressing, that it was going to pay off at the end, or that it was going to really feed into the development of the characters, that, knowing the history of the people was really going to help me appreciate the development of the characters that I was seeing in the present. So I just have to say it was something that I could appreciate more on a second reading than on a first. And now that I'm reading the second book, and I'm aware that this is something that the writer does, I'm appreciating the second book on first reading so much more. It is so beautiful, so rich, and it's not something that is overloaded with information. It's information that's just given to you in little bits here and there, and it's a wide, wide world. My goodness, I can't believe that I'm only on the second book and I feel like I know so much about this world. And I don't feel too overwhelmed. I feel like this information is simple enough that I can kind of grasp what I need to grasp when I need to grasp, if that makes sense. So what I have noticed is that Chris Wooding gives a lot of backstory on the world, the various eras that have taken place, by having characters standing there looking at a view, and that character is specifically aware of a certain period in history that is related to the view that they are looking at. And he never lingers on it too long. It's always just like a paragraph, maybe a little less even, of just information. And it's spread out so evenly across the narrative that you don't really realize you're getting this beautiful, rich history until it suddenly becomes important to the events that are happening in the present. And that's, I think, why I really appreciate it, is that I'm seeing that this isn't just the author showing I've made this rich history. He's put it there for a reason. It explains the cultural aspects of certain races and their relationships to other races, or why they have developed the way that they have. Anyway, it's very interesting, and I enjoy that a lot. And I enjoy that it's done in such a way that it never feels draggy. You feel like it's just a quick snippet here and a quick snippet here and a quick snippet here, and you're getting information now that if you've read the first book, you realize this will be important, and it very quickly becomes important, or it very quickly becomes something that you are aware is affecting the characters in the present, or it is an explanation for why they are the way that they are. Okay, so I want to talk really quickly about the chapters to look out for. So chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are kind of introducing you to the characters, or reintroducing you to them. And I was a little overwhelmed at first, going, oh no, I'm gonna have trouble remembering who is who, and who died and who didn't die, and what is their deal. But I found out I really wasn't overwhelmed. I was afraid I would be overwhelmed, but I wasn't overwhelmed. And I think it's because the author does take the time to single out characters and focus on just them when it's really important. The rest of the time, just breathe, just read it, and don't worry if you're like, oh no, I can't remember who is who. You're going to figure it out later on, because there'll be a whole chapter dedicated to them, and you go, oh, okay, now I know who this is, and I remember what they did before, and blah, 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 all of that. When you get to chapter 6, that's the one where it becomes clear what they're doing and where they're going. So you get some new characters in chapters 3 and 4 and 5, and don't worry about it. It's basically you're meeting the Fell people, who are kind of like, they're tribal people, and they don't really have they're not united like as under one leader, but you're going to their version of the Highland Games. And by chapter 6, you understand why the Dawn Wardens, that's the main fellowship, why they're going there. And by the time I got to end of chapter 6, it's like, all right, this is good. Like I know where they're going. I know where they've been now. I know who they all are, and I know where they're going. So hang on till chapter 6. That's when you'll be hooked. You'll be like, okay, we're good. We're good. We can keep going. Let's get this journey rolling. And does it start rolling quickly? It really starts moving quickly. I was a little disappointed we didn't see more of the games, the Highland Games that we're seeing, the Fell People games. But I didn't really miss it that much. I was like, oh, I wish I had more. But there was so much action happening that I didn't have time to miss them, if you know what I mean. So by the time chapter 8 happens, you realize, oh my gosh, the the writer is doing something that he did kind of in the first one, and that is where he's revealing that one of the characters' motives are not what all the other characters' motives think it is. And I was, all right, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to get revelations that just take the level of tension on each page up a notch. And it goes up a significant notch at chapter 8. Then at the end of chapter 10, be prepared, because this is the start of a long action sequence that spans a few chapters, but it's good. It's never going to be like, oh my gosh, why can't they just stop? I can't keep up with it. I think it's like 3 chapters, but it's good. You're going to be like, okay, this is it. By chapter 10, it's very big and very epic. It's intense. You're going to love it. You're also going to find out that that there's a character from the first book who you thought was dead, and now it looks like they're not. But because of what we have experienced in book 1, we're kind of going, I don't know if I can trust this information that's coming to us, because that was something that the author did in book 1, is he made it so you can't really trust everything, and you won't really know until much later. Sort of like when you found out in chapter 8 that one character's motivation is not the same as everybody thinks it is. Everybody thinks it's one thing, but that ain't what it is. And it does create an element of tension, because you're going, oh man, when things get serious, this is gonna cause some problems. But anyway, when you get to the end of chapter 13, I went, what? I wasn't very pleased. I was kind of going, oh no, is Chris Whitting about to do something that I really don't like and do not appreciate? Because it looked like it was, but I'm still suspicious. So there's a character that appears at the end of chapter 13, and those of you who are there, you can comment below. So if you don't want spoilers, don't talk, down below. But I was like, no, don't do this. Don't do this. I was so worried. But I'm happy to report by the time you get to chapter 16, there's kind of a believable explanation for it that's given. But I'm also happy to report that you're still kind of going, I don't know. I don't know. So anyway, I'm curious what other people think of this thing, but it made me worry, because there are people who do this, especially in fantasy, and I don't appreciate it, because it takes events that had happened in the past and it makes them less valuable. And I like books that are rereadable. And one thing that isn't rereadable is knowing that something that happened in the past, so when you read that event again, you realize, oh, I know that this isn't what I think is happening here, isn't what really happened. So it doesn't have any emotional effect on you in the second reading. But I am happy to say that I think the author might be doing something different with this. And I'm not going to get into it. I will do an in-depth analysis of what has happened later. I'm just not going to give away spoilers here. I'm just saying chapter 16 will reveal that, okay, this is believable. At least it's believable why this is the way that it is. I do like what the author is doing with Clisson. I will say that he has a couple of chapters up in this first quarter of the book, and they're all really interesting. I'm like, I'm rooting for this guy. I'm wondering if there is going to be a redemption arc here, because I like him. He's the bad guy, but I get what he's doing, and I agree with him. I just think he's on the wrong side. And I think he's starting to think he might be on the wrong side too. I don't know. We'll see. He's got some things he needs to get over. He's got some major things he needs to get over if he's going to switch sides. When you get to chapter 20, you are going to be like, what? I was freaking out. At the end of chapter 20, I was like, this is not what I was expecting to happen at all, and it makes perfect sense, and I love it, and I can't wait to see what the explanation is for this. So I can't wait to I'm really excited to keep reading because of chapter 20. So hang on till chapter 20, because oh my gosh, you won't be able to stop. I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to get much sleep tonight. And then chapters 23 and 24, so intense. I just gotta say, he's doing a really good job of making it more and more intense like this. I mean, you don't see that a lot in writing today. You see things kind of go like this. His pacing is so good. Chris Whitting's pacing is so good that you never feel that slump. You feel like it's always kind of going like this. through the whole story. I really appreciate that a lot. So a couple things, the character Aaron, I like how he's developing. I like that he's a noble character, but he also feels naive. I like the growth that we have seen. He has not developed too much in the years that we have not seen him. So this is 3 years. This is taking place 3 years since the first book, and I like that he's not developed so much off the page that he feels like a different person. It's the same Aaron, but he's kind of started to accept his role as the champion, and he is still believable as the same person. He is still a little naive, still a little bit too, he's this noble character, which I really like. I like that he's a noble character, that he wants to do the right thing, but that sometimes you're kind of looking at him going like, I don't know if that's the right, that might be the good thing to do, but I don't know if it's the smart thing to do. So I like that. I thought I was going to be annoyed by his and Fenn's relationship, because what it was in the very beginning of this book, it annoyed me. It annoyed me because like, oh no, is that going to happen? But again, the author just says, this is the way it is. And then he's progressing them. He's growing them in a very nice way that is, I'm not always, I'm not going like, yeah, that's what I want to happen, but I'm going, this is good. This is good because I'm seeing movement. I'm not seeing that they're stuck in this position forever. And I like that a lot. And I will have to say that Vika is more interesting to me this time around. I think the first time, because she was such a mysterious character in book 1, I didn't appreciate her as much. I didn't like her chapters, but she's finally had a chapter to herself in this book. It's more towards the end of the first quarter, so it's chapter 22, and I like it. I like it a lot. I think I like it because I know where she's going and I know what she's doing and what her intentions are, and I'm for it. I want to see it happen. So I can see the author taking her on this journey, and I'm on board. I want it to happen. All in all, I'm really enjoying this first quarter of the book. I think I'm going to have trouble sleeping tonight. I'm going to shut off the camera and I'm listening to this on audiobook because the physical copy hasn't come out. And I think I'm probably going to listen to a lot more tonight. But anyway, I should be uploading another video tomorrow, which will have my progress, or I don't know, maybe it'll be the same day as this one. But I want to upload the next video that has my progress up to the halfway point. So I've done 1/4 of the book, and then I'm going to go up to the halfway point and give you the status there. Are things still great and awesome or not? I have a feeling it's gonna be good. I have a feeling this writer knows what he's doing. I mean, to have gotten through 2 books doing this, I have a feeling that we're all in for a really fun ride. So, talk to you later.